The third chapter is the test of self realization. That means the master Astavakra is testing the knowledge of his disciple Janak. Like when we have this self knowledge, then we think that we have gotten rid of all the ignorances and all the distractions of mind, and we are like free completely. We are liberated. But it's true that we are liberated, and we have known the self. We have uh, realized the knowledge. But there is something called past impression, that is sanskar. So because of this past impression, the earlier condition, the mind which was conditioned according to the duality of this world, the mind which was conditioned according to the momentum of this world, you know, the mind again gets attracted towards that because of the inertia. Sanskar means inertia. It was in it was it was it was uh, moving in one way, but because of the instruction of the master, it started to change its course, and it transform itself into the path of self realization. But because there is this inertia, so that inertia always attracts the mind towards the duality. And when the mind is attracted towards the duality, then the reality becomes that. The reality becomes that duality, and again the mind starts to behave in a way it used to behave before. So that is where Ashtavakra is trying to train Janak. Ashtavakra is trying to make Janak conscious about this aspect of the mind. Because till there is a mind, the mind will always try to go back to its normal position, because mind is not conscious. Mind is matter. So because mind is matter, it will always try to pull back or go to its original place, into the realm of matter, into the realm of duality. So to keep the mind always into the consciousness, or into the conscious state, it needs a special kind of sadhana. It needs a special kind of austerity. And and because of this, Janak, Ashtavakra is trying to make Janak aware about this fact, that self knowledge or realization of knowledge is not, it's not enough. You need to you need to get established into that knowledge. You need to live within that knowledge. Like there is a word called sthita pragya. Sthita pragya means, a person who has not only realized the self, who has not only realized the knowledge, but he is established into that knowledge. That means, there are two things. One is realization of the knowledge, and the next step is being in the knowledge, remaining in the knowledge, making that knowledge as your reality. So if you see in the Bhagavad Gita, at one point, Arjuna has asked Krishna about this question. Sthita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhis dhasya keshava sthitadi kim prabhasheta kim asit brajeta kim. He wanted to know what is called this state of being steadfast in the knowledge. What is this state where a person is always situated or established into this knowledge? And how does he walk? How does he talk? How does he move around? How does he live? So this is, they have got a special character. So in response to his question, Lord Krishna answered that prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanaivatmana tushta sthita pragyasya do uchyate. He said that a person who can unattach himself, from the desires which are created by the mind all the time. you know always the mind is creating desire, and that is why we need to stay away from the mind. So a person who is capable of staying away from the mind, which is always creating desire. So while he is, while he is distancing himself from the mind, what is doing? Atmanei vatmana tushta. He is always situated within himself. Is always within himself. And while he is within himself, he is contented, is completely satisfied, happy, blissful, contented. He's like fulfilled. He doesn't have any longing. He doesn't have any desire. He doesn't have any desire. He doesn't have any, sorrow that I'm missing something of this world. He does not have that kind of sorrow, because he knows that this self is the source of all well-being. This self is the source of all abundance, prosperity, bliss, peace, happiness, joy. Whatever you say, this self is the only place from which we can extract this. And that is why they always stay in the self. They don't deviate anywhere else. They don't dwell into any other things of this world. They always dwell within themselves. Atmanne vatmana tushta sthita pragyastato uchate. These people are known to be steadfast in knowledge. So, here also the same thing. Krishna has talked about this knowledge before to Arjuna. But while he was saying this, he came to a point where, he made Arjuna aware about the fact that the realization of knowledge is not the only, goal. It's not the goal. The goal is to stay in the knowledge, to live in the knowledge, to become that knowledge, to become the embodiment of that knowledge, to impersonify, to personify the impersonified knowledge, to personify the impersonified knowledge within yourself. Okay, so this is the goal, and that is why Astavakra is kind of he's kind of treating Janak in such a way that he is making Janak aware about this fact by criticizing him. Astavakra is criticizing Janak. The Janak, after you have known this self, how come you become so, how come you long for worldly prosperity? After you have known what is liberation, after you have been liberated, after you have been liberated from the realm of duality, how come it is possible that you go into this, you want to dwell into this world, you want to enjoy this, sense objects, you want to enjoy the sense objects, you want to have this experience of this sensual pleasure. How come this is possible? So he is criticizing Janaka, and while he is doing this, he is also imparting this knowledge of the self. The self is not what you think. The self is this. It's always one. It is pure consciousness. It is pure intelligence. It is the state of pure being. It's absolute. It's absolute. It's abundance. So so this is what we were discussing. So the last shloka which we had discussed in our last session was this: Vishwam spurati yatredam taranga eva sagare. That is, this world is like, whatever you see, this world or this universe. This universe is like the waves in the ocean. When you see the wave, you think the wave is true. But the wave does not have its own existence. It does not have any independent existence. The waves are but water. A person who knows this water, they knows what a wave is. So this is the thing that though you can think, that this world is separate from you, or this world is a different thing, but it's like it is the same. It has originated from you. It has originated from you. You are the source of this world. Like the source of the waves are the ocean. In the same way, this material world, This material world, this insentient world, this insentient universe that you see in front of you, this is this is the creation of yourself. You have created this. You are the substratum. You are the cause of this world. You are the cause of this world. So it says, Vishwam Spurati Yatredam Taranga Eva Sagare. The the waves, the waves are very similar to this world. Soham asmiti vigyaya kim dina eva dhavasi. This is, here also he's kind of criticizing Janaka. He says, a person who has known this, that I am the self, the person who has known this, he has known this means he has realized this, that I am the self. How it is possible for that person to run after this world? That means, he is telling Janak, though you have realized the self, but you have not established yourself into the self. And that is why, the remnants of this world is present within you. This world is attracting you, and you are feeling this attraction. And because you are feeling this attraction, you are running after this world. So Astavakra is indirectly, charging Janak, accusing Janak. Janak, though you have realized the self, but what I see is you are running after this world. So this is where we have stopped. Now the next one. He says, Astavakra Uvacha. Astavakra says, Shrutvapi Shuddha Chaitanyam Atmanam Atisundaram. He says, even when you have heard this. So when he says, even when you have heard this, it means that, it's not that this knowledge has been heard by Janak. Even when you have realized this, what did you realize? That the self is Shuddha Chaitanya. It is pure consciousness. You have realized this self to be pure consciousness, and Ati Sundaram. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing beyond words. Like in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says that a person who have realized the self, how does it describe the self? How does he, express the, the beauty of the self? He says, Lord Krishna says, Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam, Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya, Ascharya vachanaina manya srinoti, Srutvapena vedana chaiva kaschid. He says, a person who have realized the self, he says that I have seen the self as amazement. There's no other words. Words cannot substantiate. Words cannot substantiate the beauty. Words cannot express the beauty of the self. The beauty of the self can only be felt. That's all. I can only feel it, but I cannot express it. The only way I can express the self is in this small word. The self is amazement. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Some people who have realized the self, they say this self is amazing. Ascharyavat badati tathaiva chanya. And there are some who tries to express the self. But while they are trying to express the self, they can only say this word, this much, that the self is amazing. I cannot say anything more than that. It's called Vakya Manatita. It's beyond speech, it is beyond mind. So beyond speech means it is beyond expression. You cannot express. There's no words. You will find no words by which you can actually, describe the beauty of the self. There is no words. There's no words. And that is why you can only say that this is amazement. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam, Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya. And then he says, Ascharya vachanaina manya shrunati. Not only that, a person who have seen the self or heard about the self, he sees the self to be amazing. A person who have heard about it, you have not seen him, you have not realized him, you have just heard about the self. Only by hearing about the self, he says that this self is so amazing. This self is so amazing. Ashcharya vachanaina manya shunoti shrutva pena vedana chaiva kaschit. And even if you listen to the self, you cannot you cannot know him, because he is beyond this. He is beyond knower, he is beyond known, and he is beyond knowledge. He is the known, he is the knower, and he is the knowledge. So when the knower and the knowledge is one, who will know whom? And that is why the self cannot be known. The self cannot be known. He can be realized, he can be felt. He can be felt, and he can be felt more and more and more, till the point you become that. You cannot know him. When you try to express him, you see that you have not known him. When a rishi, when the rishis or they used to send their child to the master's house in ancient in India. So when they used to come back, there's a you know there's a description of a king. He sent his children to the master's house, house for for the education of his children. So after they came back, the king is asking his eldest son, what did you know? What did you know while you were in your master's house? So the eldest son said that I have known this. The king said, you knew nothing. You go back again to your master's house and you try to learn. Then he asks his youngest son, what did you know? The youngest son said, I cannot say that I have known something, because that cannot be known. And I cannot say that I have not known him, because in reality, I know him. I felt him. I realized him. So the king said, this is the person who has actually had the proper education. He had the proper education, and the king made his youngest son the king of his of his country. So this is the thing. So when you realize the self, you see that actually you did not know him, because it's so vast, it's so infinite that it cannot be known. At the same time, you will think or you will feel that it's wrong to say that I have not known him. Actually, I know him. I felt him. I realized him. But the thing is that I cannot express him in words. We can say everything in words. All the worldly things we can express in words. But this this realization of the self, this knowledge of the self, cannot be expressed through words. So, here it says that when a person have realized the self to be pure consciousness, and you know and ati sundaram, that it's immensely amazing. It's immensely amazing when he knows the self to be like this. Upaste upaste atyanta sankshakto malinyam adhigachati. How it is possible that after knowing the self to be pure consciousness and completely, amazement, complete amazement, after knowing this, how it is possible that you run after your sensual pleasures? How it is possible? How it is possible that you run after your physical pleasures, and thereby making your soul dirty, impure? How it is possible? So, the thing is that even after self knowledge, there is a space, or there's a scope where a person can deviate himself, deviate into this world. So the master becomes very, very cautious about this. And that is why Astavakra is very cautious. He's not He's not, teaching Janak. The actual teaching of Janak has happened. Janak has already realized the self. He has already attained the state of samadhi. He has already known the self. And this Astavakra Samhita starts after the realization of Janak. That means when he has completed his journey of education, when he has completed his knowledge of, when he has gained his self knowledge, then Astavakra is instructing him. That means, you know, this self knowledge that we know, after that also there is many things which has to be learned. And that is why it says that the knowledge of the self is the knowledge of the infinite. And in the Vedas it says Charaivati, Charaivati. That is, march on, march on. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't think that you have known everything. There should be never a time where you should think yourself to be, the knower of everything. It says that a person who has known the self knows everything. Yam labdha chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata. There is one accomplishment which, when accomplished, you do not, there is no space for any other accomplishment. That is, you have accomplished everything. There is one knowledge which, when attained, there is no other space of knowledge. In the Bhagavad Gita it says that, like, uh, that one, yadate moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishati tada gantasi nirvedam srotavyasya srutasya cha. Lord Krishna says that if your mind is always, still, if your mind is always still, even when you are in the midst of chaos, when you are in the midst of chaos, even then also, if you see your mind is stable, calm, serene, peaceful, then you know that you have attained the space. You have attained that which cannot be known. You have known that which cannot be known. And after that, you have nothing to know or nothing to hear. So this has been said. But in reality, till you have this mind, till you have this body, till you have this, this life, there is always scope that you can deviate because you have this past impression. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the fourth chapter, Jnana Yoga, fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita is Jnana Yoga. Lord Krishna says that kim karma, kim akarmeti, kavayo atra mohitaha. He says, what is the real karma? What is that karma which one should partake? What is that karma which one should always follow? And kim akarmeti, and what is that karma which one should always avoid? Kavayo atra mohitaha. Kavayo means the adept, the realized soul, the wise man. The wise men, when they come into this realm of, duality, when they enter into this realm of duality, they also make a mistake. They also cannot judge which karma one should do and which karma one should avoid. So, this life, this world, and remaining in this world, having this self knowledge is not so easy. Is not so easy, and that is why Astavakra did not stop his instructions when he saw that Janak had realized the self. Astavakra did not stop. In any other spiritual text, the Guru stops. Guru says, now my work is done. Now it's up to you. Now it's up to you. But Astavakra starts from there. Where the other Gurus, they stop, Astavakra starts from there. And Astavakra did not stop till Janak has reached that state where he becomes one with that divine, one with that, self completely. When he have, dissolved his complete ego, complete ignorance, When he has dissolved his complete existence into the existence of the self. Till that time, Astavakra did not stop, and that is why this book is very unique. This book is very unique. When you keep listening to this book, you feel that you feel that urge, you feel that attraction, you feel that that something is attracting you within. Something is attracting you within. You feel that dispassion staying in this world, seeing this world. Suddenly you remember the words of Astavakra. Astavakra is very direct. He says, the world does not exist at all. Finish. Period. There's no other, there's no other thing which he has to say. It's very clear cut. This world does not exist. That's all. Finish. And this is the reality. And this is where you need to come. The body does not exist. The mind does not exist. Whatever you think, whatever you think which is beyond the scope of self does not exist. The self is the only reality, and that is what it exists. So what you have to do is you need to become that self. That's all. And till you become that self, the guru will not stop. The guru will keep talking and talking. The guru will keep instructing and instructing. And that is why Astavakra is so particular about his instructions. He does not stop. Where everybody stops, seeing the disciple has realized the self, Astavakra did not stop. He continued. He started from there. And he says, the self is the only reality. The self is the only reality. The world does not exist. Even when you are seeing this world, even when you are experiencing this world in front of your eyes, you see this world. Astavakra is very, very direct, very, very diligent in his approach. He says, the world does not exist. It is just like the snake in the rope. Like the snake have never existed in the rope, in the same way, this world also never exists. The only existence is Satchidananda. This is the only existence. There is no other existence. There's no other existence. So that is why he says that, even when you have known the self to be pure consciousness, even when you have known the self to be only amazement, just amazement, beauty, Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Sundaram, that is, it's blissful, it's beauty. Why we say Satchidananda? Why do we add this Ananda with this? Because, of its beauty of the self. When the thing is, we say the thing of beauty is the joy forever. So when there is a beauty, there is joy. So why is the self blissful? Because the self is beauty. Because the self is beauty, that is why it is joyful, delightful. So Astavakra says that even when you are delighted with the delight of the self, how it is possible that you run after your sensual pleasure or this world? How it is possible? Now he goes again. Then he says, Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani Muner Janita Ascharyam Mamatvam Anuvartate. So this shloka is very similar to that one shloka in Bhagavad Gita we have, that Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani Ikshate Sarva Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshana. There is difference between Astavakra's approach and Krishna's approach. Krishna says the same thing, that Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Sarva Bhutatma Chatmani. One who sees himself in everything. One who sees himself in everything, and one who sees everything within himself. So what is that person? He says, Ikshate sarva yuktatma sarvatra samadarshana. He says that this person is sarva yuktatma. He is always, he's always situated in the self. He has attained the state of yoga with the self, always. And he sees, the sameness. He sees sameness in everything. That means he has attained the state of yoga. So a person who sees himself in everything and a person who sees everything in himself has has attained the state of absolute yoga according to Bhagavad Gita. But here Astavakra says that a person who have seen himself in everything, who sees himself in everything and everything in himself, how it is possible for that person to not see, everything to be same and to have this me and mine? How it is possible? How it is possible that, even after I see that I am this, I am everything, I am this universe, and this universe is me. So when I know that I am this universe and this universe is me, when I know that I am you and you are me, then how can I differentiate you from me? How can I differentiate you from me? I should always see you and me to be the same. But here Ashtavakra says that no, even if you have this realization, even if you have this knowledge is so subtle that it is difficult to hold this knowledge for a longer period of time. It is difficult for people, for us to hold it for long. So what happens is that because of sanskar, we again come back. Though we have reached this point, though we have reached a particular state where I see myself in everything and everything in me, though I have reached that place, but because of my past impression, because of my sanskaras, I am again, I'm again pulled back. I'm again pulled back from where I have started this journey. So I cannot stay here. I am not established here. I'm again pulled back. And that is why Ashtavakra says, when Ashtavakra says that, how it is possible that you differentiate between you and others, how it is possible, it doesn't mean that Ashtavakra is discouraging us. It doesn't mean that Ashtavakra does not believe that we have attained that state. It does not believe that. Ashtavakra wants us to know that though you have reached this state of sarva bhuteshu chatmanam sarva bhutani chatmani, you have reached that state where you see yourself to be everything in everything and everything in yourself. You have reached that ultimate state of yoga. And after that, there is no other state. You have reached that ultimate state of yoga, but you cannot stay there for long because you possess sanskara. You possess a mind, and that mind possesses sanskara. And because of that sanskara, it is called inertia. It will again, pull you back to the place from where it has started its journey. There is always a pull tendency to come to its original place. It's science. It is science. Everything has got its tendency to come to its original place. So, the mind also will have its tendency to come to its original place. What is the original place of the mind? The original place of the mind is matter. So, the mind will always try to come back to matter. And while it is coming back to matter, it will pull your consciousness level up to this. And this is where Ashtavakra is trying to make us aware about this fact. Ashtavakra says that though you will reach that state, but you have to be careful. You don't fall. You don't fall. You have to maintain that level. And to maintain that level, you need to be very, very aware about yourself. You need to be very, very focused, more focused, complete focus. You need to, dedicate yourself more and more into that, so that none of this remnants of this matter, stays within you. The whole matter, they get transformed into consciousness. Consciousness. So, that is what Astavakra is saying. Now the next one. He says, Asthita paramadvaitam moksharthe vyavasthita Ashcharyam kama basago bikala keli sikshaya. He said that a person who has complete faith in the knowledge of the non of the Advaita, a person who is completely into the knowledge of Advaita, in the knowledge of non-duality, that the only reality is that non-dual self. There's no other duality, reality. The only reality is this: the non-dual self, the Advaita Atma, or the Advaita self, and the goal of life. And the goal of life is to to attain the state of moksha, that is, attain the state of liberation from ignorance, liberation from all the factors which inhibits our journey towards the self, to liberate ourselves from everything, all the factors which may come between me and the self, me and this consciousness. I am that consciousness. So whatever makes me feel this unconscious, whatever makes me feel subconscious, whatever makes me feel not conscious, or not pure conscious, whatever makes me feel not pure conscious, these things has to go. And I need to get complete liberation from this. So a person who is totally convinced that the non-duality is the only reality, and the goal of life is to attain moksha, or liberation. How it is possible? How it is possible, even after having this kind of mentality, even having this kind of approach, how it is possible that he yearns for physical pleasures? How it is possible? It is possible. How? Why it is possible? Because though a part of the mind, though the part of the mind is approaching the self, there is this another part, probably the tiny part, but which is very powerful. The more the mind becomes subtle, it becomes more and more powerful. So when you are approaching towards the self, as the mind is becoming subtle, the material aspect of the mind is also becoming subtle. And as the material aspect of the mind is becoming subtle, they are also becoming very powerful. And that is why you will see that when sometimes you might see that when you had a very deep meditation, or some very, very, profound level of spiritual state, just after that, you become very distracted. Now, why do I become distracted after meditation? After I had very deep meditation, why do I become distracted? After I have attained very deep level of consciousness, why do I become distracted? Because in one on one hand, as the mind which is approaching towards the self has become subtle, and that is why it is attaining that state of depth. It is moving into this transcendental self, this transcendental world, and it is attaining depth. In one hand this is happening, and in the other hand, the material aspect of the mind, a little bit of material aspect of the mind also have become very subtle. And because it has become very subtle, it is powerful enough to completely distract and disrupt the whole process of meditation, of this serenity. Though it is tiny, but it is very subtle, and it is powerful enough to completely make a disruption into your this very serene state of mind. And that is why we become very distracted after having deep meditation. You might see, everybody might have this experience. And people ask me, Swamiji, I had a very deep meditation, and after that I become so distracted. I just remembered this, and I cannot control myself. So how it is possible? This is possible because of this. That part, the material part of the mind, has remained. You know, you need to be aware of that mind. So Ashtavakra Gita actually, it's though though you may say that Ashtavakra Gita is about this very deep knowledge, because it has started after Samadhi, so it's very deep knowledge. But in the other hand, if you see, Ashtavakra Gita actually is speaking about, Ashtavakra is actually speaking about that portion of mind which always, you know which always holds you holds you back, which always pulls you towards this falseness, darkness, towards bondage, towards ignorance. He is more, critical about that part of the mind. And to make our to make ourselves, liberated from that part of the mind. He's using this knowledge. He is encouraging us to, completely surrender into that knowledge, completely, focus into this knowledge, so that, the dedication is full, complete, the concentration is complete. So when the concentration is complete, the consciousness also becomes complete. Concentration is consciousness. So when the concentration is complete, the dedication is complete, the focus is complete, the consciousness also is complete. Complete consciousness is absolute consciousness. It's pure self. It's pure consciousness. Okay? So today we stop here, and we'll again, meet at Kibar Sunday. So we'll meet on Wednesday. I hope that this Ashtavakra Gita is helping you. But it's very hard, very hard. It's not so easy to understand Ashtavakra Gita. The the subtlety of it is very, very, very hard. So it's a mercy of Bhagwan. Somehow the words come, somehow when I start with something, and then the thing, they just adds up. They come, and I don't know whether it's helping you or not, but I hope that it helps you. Thank you. If you have any question, you can ask.